Jim, let's continue the conversation. Last week we talked about the third chakra, power, resistance, control,
judgment.
and judgment, and gave a couple current examples of how a person who's been living in a box, created their own world, it starts to shake apart.
Yep.
And so let's continue that with kind of living on the edge, or
That's good.
being on the edge.
That's a good way to describe it. So I used last week the example of an earthquake, and if you ever had the experience of an earthquake, you are out of control. There's no place to go. You have no place to go, period. It's just you're out of control. And so right now, with this shift, and again, it's a spiritual shift, the underpinning of everything is a spiritual transition to the fifth dimension. And that doesn't make any sense to the average person on the street. What they know, though, is something within their status quo has been shaken. They can't put their finger on it. They just know the earth is moving, in a manner of speaking. And when that begins to happen, people begin to be uncomfortable. And so, again, that reactionary nature of the third dimension goes into play. I'm unsure, I'm unsafe, I don't know what to do. And what you're watching in the world is this whole level of nationalism, of mine versus yours. I have to take care of me, my family.
Versus them.
And so it's an us versus them quite often. You're exactly, yeah. So, and there is this really flashpoint in a lot of personalities. I'm not sure, I'm afraid, I don't want you to take mine. And so you're seeing this happen all over the world, and it's being complicated in so many ways by, like, the war in Syria or in Lebanon and the refugees, or Puerto Rico having devastation and not knowing what to do, and many of the people in Puerto Rico have the right to come to Florida, to the United States. And so you begin to see these levels where you get new neighbors. And we can talk about this next week and the way to remedy this.
Yeah.
But basically, I don't know you, and what do you want from me?
And you look different than me.
And you look different. You're not the same color. You have a funny thing on your head. What does that all mean to me? And this is the transition. This is what's happening. You can't take your baggage with you. The universe understands that in this transition. So what it's doing, totally from a place of being very benevolent and kind, is it's giving you room to let all that stuff bubble up to the surface and leave. But what we do when it comes to the surface, my uncertainty, my doubt about you, how dare you, we grab a hold of it and then define the circumstances by our fears and our lack and our uncertainty. Our reactionary nature comes to the surface. So you're watching this on edge, how people communicate with one another. And so the reason this is really important topic, I think, is because whether you think so or not, you're on edge. There is an edge. Now, you can be very competent, very capable. You play in Mastering Alchemy. You understand certainty and present time observation, choosing from a very grounded, kind of higher perspective. And at the next level down, there is a transition in the fabric of this shift. It's really very much like growing up your whole life in summer, and all of a sudden fall begins. It's like, what does this mean? And the leaves are turning colors, and that's never happened. And the temperature is changing. That's never happened. Transition. But if your status quo is a very limited point of reference, no allowance for interesting opportunities versus I'm afraid of.
Well, also, if a person pays attention to the media, pays attention to the current events, it's demonstrating that reaction. It's demonstrating being on edge and instantly responding, reacting to a situation. And so seeing that demonstrated could have the tendency of a person who's otherwise sane doing the same thing, reacting in a situation, or even just subtly having a thought, seeing someone different and going, ooh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just that subtle.
Yeah. And the news media, the politics, what's happening is there's lots of divides in them. It's like you look at politics in the United States and just using the Republican Party. It's not one party anymore as an example. It's many coalitions and divisions of thought that is labeled under this umbrella Republican Party. Mm-hmm. Not good, bad, just how it is. And then you get the media basically in a contest between one another and beating up one another. Well, that average person doesn't have a sense of truth, has a sense of imbalance. And so all of a sudden, the Me Too, that must be it. I am going to agree with that. That's how I think too. And the division begins to become more grounded in this is my new truth. Mm-hmm. And there is only one truth with a little t, because I don't do truth, is you're in transition. Change is the only constant in the universe, and this is a really big change. So if you start grabbing a hold of it and defining it as truth, you're going to find in your next breath it's an uncertainty, because that change is just very much moving from a universe of summer to a universe of fall. Mm-hmm. And it is very much a shaking of people's foundations.
And we're not suggesting don't pay attention to what's out there, but pay attention to it from your own space. Like a level 1 tool, put up your rows and watch the news, watch what's going on from your side of the row so that you can observe it from a place of neutrality and not get sucked into all of that drama. And see it as theater. And at the same time ask, okay, it's in front of me, where do I do the same thing?
Yeah, and there's another little piece to this, and we've been playing this game where we will watch CNN or MSNBC, some of the very liberal points of reference, and then I'll turn it and listen to a Lou Dobbs or a Fox News, and it's astonishing because the exact same quote has two very different universes. And my objective is I'm actually in disagreement with both ends of the spectrum because they're too exclusive. They exclude too many possibilities. And so it's like, can I be neutral and just watch this without realizing how the heck can you even get to that place? But the reality is, great portions of people are in each one of these divides. And the thing about it is they have no capacity to understand the other one. Well, they have the capacity, but it's like you and I will sit and say, how can somebody think like that? How can they be so unkind, so sarcastic without uplifting, nurturing somebody else?
Well, it goes back to what we talked about last week. That first chakra, third dimension, is in survival.
Right.
And so that's black and white. That's I have to protect myself no matter what. I can't be in a place of neutrality. I can't be open to other possibilities because that threatens my survival.
Right. So going back to the tools of mastering alchemy, that's because who we are. If you can get grounded, stay in the center of your head, stay on your side of the rows. This is me, and that's Shakespeare's theater to entertain me. And you can begin to choose, I want to observe. I don't want to engage. I want to observe. That level of observation in neutral and in balance is going to become the stepping stones, or at least the guiding process to where do I put my foot next without being pulled by the magnetics of they're bad and they're good and this is true and that's not true. So this transition is a journey. It's a transition. You're moving from point A to point B. See if you can stay out of the sides, the them and us. Because as soon as you go to this is true, you're in conflict with and arguing with and on the edge of somebody else's argument. and truth right in front of you.
And it's even more than that. See if you can stay out of the black and white without isolating yourself, without withdrawing and rejecting what's out there.
Yeah. Now, we could keep going all down this. So, see, there's the positive side to this. There is some really remarkable stepping stones that are being laid in front of you. But when you're defending and protecting and arguing with and agreeing with and opposing, you don't see this fabulous landscape that's being laid out right in front of you of well-being and opportunity. So let's talk next week about how do you begin to neutralize all of that tension.
Yes.
And it's done with one word. It's absolutely one word. The
Okay.
most important word on the whole planet is an alignment of energy, and we'll talk about that next week.
Very good.
So, good. This was good.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy.